All right. Hi, welcome back, everybody. We are here with a new interview. We have Matt Yetter here with us. And thank you for joining us, Matt.
No problem.
Yeah, so we have him here to talk about his game he's building. So he is building, well, I'll let you introduce it, but you're building a new game. We're excited to get to know you. We have interviewed other people who are building games, so it's just really cool to see different people, different games, different
Yeah,
perspectives, and everything like that. So please introduce yourself.
sure. My name's Matt Yetter. I am a board game enthusiast and first-time game creator designer. And my game is called Beast Builders, Claws and Jaws, and it looks like this in its prototype form. Um, it's an idea that I came up with while kind of stuck in the COVID pandemic quarantine, and it's been in progress for a few years. But I'm excited to get close to a launch and do some final touches on the design of it um, for a launch later this year. So if you want me to talk about what it is, I can do that.
Yeah,
Or
well
if you
let's
have more
let's
questions,
go back a little bit. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
said you're a game board enthusiast. So what had you
Mhm.
transition from like being an enthusiast to actually, hey, I actually want to make a game? Like what
Yeah,
was the shift there?
yeah. So I've played a lot of games with friends and other gamers for a long time, and during quarantine, I was trying to connect with my friends online and play some different titles. And as you can imagine, we were moving through a lot of them pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and I started imagining, you know, the what it would be like to have a game that was quick and not so involved because I like a lot of the heavy, crunchy, complex games, but those aren't always appropriate for every situation,
And when you
So
say
I was
heavy
trying,
crunchy, is that
yeah.
like games that last for weeks or what does that even mean
I
for the
don't
novice
have
like
an,
me?
well, it sort of depends,
Okay.
I guess, but yeah, I guess what I mean is, games that have a lot of systems, a lot of decisions, yeah, it can take a lot more time to play and have like a lot of rules to keep track of,
Okay.
which can be fun and engaging with that complexity. But, like you say, it can often result in a lot more time spent and, just it takes up more space in your head, So I was kind of imagining something that was a little bit lighter, but and faster in its completion time, but that had enough complexity to make some interesting choices and to have some replay value, so you could play it multiple times and not get too bored of it.
Yeah,
So that
so
was kind of the goal, thinking about it.
yeah, and then so let's talk about your game. So say, can you say the title
Sure.
again? Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Beast Builders, Claws and Jaws. And
All
again, this is
right.
the box. Yeah.
And it looks great. I mean, honestly, I
Thanks.
can tell that there's some cool different hybrid animal situation, which I'll let you talk
Hmm.
about, but it looks like National Geographic's title to me. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, what can I learn there? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I'm really happy with the art style. I worked with this great artist named Carol Lynn, who helped me a lot to work up the character designs and the animal images that you saw there. So yeah, the theme of the game is that you play as an alien in the future, and these are the alien characters. These are the beast builders.
Whoa.
So in this core game, this first version of it, there are six of them. And each of these aliens is sort of like a professional athlete in the sense that they're playing a game in the future. And the way that they play that game is they combine Earth animals into these like hybrid beasts. And it's sort of
Okay.
like you can imagine a little bit like a Pokemon or like a BattleBots if you're familiar with that. It's sort of like
Okay.
these animals, these beasts are in an arena and they're fighting each other
I was thinking
and
gladiators.
it's a competitive game. Yeah, yeah, same kind of thing. So the beast builder aliens are mixing animals together into these like beasts, and then the beasts battle each other in the arena like gladiator style.
Yeah.
And the object of the game is to defeat your opponent's beast and win a lithium salt,
Lithium
which is
salt.
like the victory point. Yeah, that was just sort of a funny like name that I came up with. I like to imagine that lithium is like valuable to aliens in the future for some, unknown reason. So the victory points, so you're fighting for the right to acquire lithium salts. And so depending on how many rounds you win, that's how many lithium salts you acquire.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then can you say more about the animals?
Yes, of course. So yeah, so I can show you what sort of the cards look like. So this is an example of one of them. So they all have an animal on them, and each one is a representative of, a
Oh.
specific earth animal.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you can have a hand of these animal cards. So you're looking at the ones you have, and then you can sort of choose which slot or which section you want to attach to your beast. So if I have a porcupine fish here, then based on where I want to put the porcupine fish in my beast, then I can say, okay, I'm going to build the porcupine fish onto my beast in the four section, and that means it's going to get this bonus on the left here. Or I could build it to my mid section, and that'll get the middle bonus. Or I could build it to my hind section, and that'll get the hind bonus. So you can kind of choose where you want to put the animal, and based on how you do that, that's what bonus you get for your beast to improve its fighting ability.
So you creating this hybrid animals with like,
Mhm,
but it's divided in three segments, the head,
mhm,
the middle, and the rear. Oh
mhm. Yeah,
man.
so these are some examples. So there's five different types of animals. There's
Okay.
mammals, birds, fish, invertebrates, and herptiles, which is reptiles and amphibians together. So you can kind of see, yeah, I learned that word when I was doing the research
Yeah.
for this. The research was a lot of fun for this actually, because I got to spend a lot of time on Wiki just like reading about animals, all the stuff they do. Um, but yeah, so these are, you can kind of see maybe that like they're sort of divided into three sections here. And so you can imagine maybe like having the head of a panda and the midsection of a tiger and the tail of an orca, So that's part of the fun, I think, is that it's not just about like, well, you can play the game however you want. I'm trying to design it to be interesting to, different kinds of gamers and not necessarily just to like, you know, fully, well, I want it to be interesting no matter like how you look at it. So like maybe you just, are trying to find animals that you like or come up with an interesting combination. But
That's
the idea
amazing.
is that the abilities and the bonuses sort of roughly correspond with how the animal actually, lives in the wild. So like certain animals are more threatening, certain animals are faster, certain animals are more defensive. So depending on where you put it, that's going to affect, how your beast performs in battle.
So you don't have to be an expert about animals. There's
No.
information on the cards. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
And then so in the process of developing, how long have you been developing this game, would you say?
Yeah, so the original idea was, yeah, like I said, several years ago, and I started out just kind of writing up a big document, an Excel sheet with, all my like brainstorm ideas, and I
Yeah.
um, printed up a paper prototype with my home printer that I just made kind of like rough, and I did
Whoa.
some play testing, and then so I did a couple rounds of that and sort of refined the rule set. And so at this point now, what you're seeing here is basically what I'm calling my beta prototype, which is very close to the final product, I think. I'll show you the back.
Wow.
Um, so you can kind of see there, that's like sort of a rendering of how the game board looks. You have the player card at the bottom, which shows you like the sections that you can put the animal cards in, and then the animal cards are just above that. So you have one for each section.
It looks
Um,
very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Carol gets a lot of credit for that because
Good
she
job,
really helped
Carol.
me. Like, yeah, she helped me nail the design of it. Um, but yeah, so I'm excited to start to go to the market at some point this year. But like I said, I want to do sort of the final round of testing and work out some of the details before I do a first run launch.
And from what I've heard, just well, and just building anything in general, there's like
Hmm?
hiccups and roadblocks that come
Yeah.
like very unexpected. Sometimes you can anticipate it and it's way worse than you think.
Yeah.
What kind of motivated you to push through it? Because a
Mm.
lot of times, those are legitimate reasons for someone to be like, okay, maybe this isn't going to work, but you know,
Yeah. That's an interesting question. I think part of the fun for me has been the design process, actually. And I am, like I said earlier, I do enjoy sometimes going into those headspaces with a lot of decisions and crunchy, like time-consuming processes. So for me, building up the spreadsheet with all this stuff in it was actually pretty fun. So
yeah,
that was a motivation to like try to, it feels like solving a puzzle almost, or like a math problem where I'm like, okay, I want to balance this game and I want to make it interesting and not overpowered in a certain direction. And here's what I'm getting for feedback. And a lot of the feedback is like there's too much, So the process of editing has been like cut, 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 like get rid of stuff, get rid of systems. And so I think what has kept me going is that I don't know, I think people are gonna like it. I'm just excited that it has a chance to actually, go out into the world and be received by folks. And um, yeah, it would make me really happy if people encountered this and were excited by it and wanted to play it. And so, yeah, that's been sort of the motivating factor. And of course, if people do respond well, then there's a chance to maybe make an expansion and say like, okay, now instead of just these five animals, let's add a sixth type to the deck, and you can shuffle that in, or like go even weirder with it and do like dinosaurs or cryptids or whatever,
yeah.
like I think the way I was thinking about it, there's a lot of opportunity for expansion, potentially in the way that some other card games have done. So, yeah, I think that's pretty exciting as well.
So you said you did a lot of condensing and it's a shorter game.
Mhm.
So how long roughly? I mean, I'm sure it's case by case basis, but what's the average time frame when people are playing the game?
Yeah, so like kind of nuts and bolts wise, it supports 2 to 6 players.
Uh-huh.
And like I said, it's competitive. So if you just have 2 players, I think you could get it done. Like a first play is a little longer, of course, once you're learning, but you could get a round done in, I'm going to say, half an hour, or that's what
Oh,
I wrote
okay.
on the box anyway. And I think the
That's what I'm telling
maximum,
people, so I hope.
well, I think the hope for me is that if you know, I can imagine folks that like really get to know the game and they're like, and it's portable, right? It's a smaller format. So maybe you're waiting in line at a convention somewhere or you're at a bar or whatever, and you're like, oh, let's play a quick round of Beat Builders, and you can get in and out, see what your hand is and kind of execute pretty quickly. But I think on the higher side, for a big table, maybe an hour or more. I think the max would
Yeah.
maybe be like 90 minutes if you have a lot of people, because it's also when you have well, it's designed to be sort of free for all style. So you can kind of interact with anyone at the table, maybe similar to like Magic the Gathering Commander, if you're familiar with that. So the idea being that anyone can sort of knock anyone out at any time. And so I think
Okay.
that a larger table, it takes a little longer to navigate all those decisions. But yeah, I would say the range would be like 30 to 90.
Yeah. And there's obviously more people or whatever, or
Yeah.
what's happening, or how many drinks may or may not be flowing.
Yeah,
All these
exactly. Yeah.
different circumstances can impact the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get that. Well, that's good. And it doesn't seem, as someone for myself who's like a novice, I'm not an avid game
Mhm.
player, and I have the worst case of ADD. I'm like out and about running around. That the
Sure.
way you're describing it doesn't seem intimidating to me. It seems like fun and like an enjoyable experience, like
Yeah.
something I
My
definitely would want to do.
Totally. My goal with this is to create something that a gamer like you, who's like, newer to it or like less experienced, would have just as much fun as someone who's played a lot of games and, has like the, you know, winning brain on, or however you would characterize it, know?
Okay, great. And then so what's next for the game? Like you said, you're getting close to finishing.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the next steps? How can people find you? Things like that. Like what can they keep an
Yeah,
eye out for
so
you at anything?
totally. I do have a website up. It's very simple right now, just sort of like a teaser. and a form for your email. So the website is beastbuildersgame.com. And if you go there, there's sort of a little more of the art and some a description of the components. And right now it's just an email form. So my plan is to finish working up sort of the polish to the text of the rule book and on the cards, and some final tweaks to the numbers, and maybe do one more round of playtesting just to make sure that that's all set, and then
Yeah.
do a first run printing at the end of the summer, ideally. And then I would like to sell copies on my website, before the end of the year. So yeah, I think my website would be sort of the first place to check. I also do have a couple other social type pages. There's a Board Game Geek page for the game that I set up that I'm going to start adding content to, and there is also an Instagram account. So you
We'll
can
have
look
all
up
the
at
links.
yeah, put the links in the description or whatever. But yeah, the Instagram would be at Beast Builders Game, and then the Board Game Geek page, you can just search for Beast Builders and it's on there. So yeah, I'd like
Rad.
to start populating that stuff pretty soon.
Okay, well, I'm excited to seeing what's coming and how it goes and being it's cool to be a part of people's journeys, every
Yeah,
little step of it and see them go through it. Well,
yeah.
thank you
Well, and
so
it's
much.
exciting
Oh,
for me to just as a last thought here, it's
yeah.
exciting for me to participate in something and encourage other people to contribute their stuff too, because I think, gamers are hungry for new stuff. And so the more of us that are making things, the better off we all are. So I'm
I
totally on board
actually
with it.
was thinking that a lot while you were saying that is no matter the category, if someone's making something and building something, it brings life and creativity out in the
Yeah,
world that we're all kind of looking for, especially
yeah,
during COVID. Like you said, there was a missing and a yearning for that.
yes.
And then post COVID or wherever we're at now, I think so many people tried new things and activities and sports and, crafts and projects and building projects,
Mhm.
etc. And like it's so cool to actually hear people and see their products and all the varieties of what forms it comes in.
Yeah,
So
because what
this is
else are
really
we
cool.
humans doing here if not making cool stuff for each other to check out and be inspired by in turn?
Absolutely. It's all about turning into aliens and building animals to fight each other.
Well, I mean, some ideas are weirder than others, right? But
I like it. The weirder the
yeah,
better.
yeah,
But it's great. It keeps your brain going and thinking
yeah,
newly and like, repetition in the same day on repeat. Groundhog's Day is, I don't know, for me not enjoyable. But
totally. Yeah, we got to mix it up.
this looks like a really fun thing to do with friends and family and lots of social gatherings or small intimate gatherings. So thank you
Yeah,
for making this and
yeah, of
putting
course.
in the work for
Yeah,
it.
I'm glad you're interested, and I'm getting some good feedback so far, so I'm encouraged that, people are going to respond to it.
Yes. Well, everybody check out his game, go to his website, his socials, and really like follow along and then get your copy as soon as you can.
Thanks,
Thanks,
y'all.
Matt. Bye.
Bye-bye.